Okay, so we are recording now.
I have a request.
God has graciously given me a wife, and I'm so grateful for that. She reminded me of something very important. So on the list of travel tips under what to pack, I had one check through, maximum 50 pounds, one carry-on for the overhead bin. You should not take a carry-on for the overhead bin. That is what the airline allows, but once we get there, we have to ride on the bus. So on the bus, you can have your main check-through bag, and then anything else you carry on the bus should be like a backpack is fine. Have what you bring on the bus in the backpack, but don't bring an extra roller bag in addition to your big check-through piece of luggage.
If I don't have a big luggage, can I just put my little?
Yeah, and that could be your one piece.
I'm not bringing a big.
Yeah, each one should have one piece of luggage for the bus, and that they'll pack underneath the bus when we're going, and then everything else, a backpack or a purse or something you carry with you, but not an additional roller bag. I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that, so you don't bring something that you'll wish you hadn't brought. All right. So I have a couple of very interesting videos to share with you this evening, and they're from very different parts of the land of Israel. First one is a very nicely done, I think about 20 to 25 minute video on the Sea of Galilee that I looked at just recently. So let me bring that up now. This is the one I want to share. All right, let's see what we have here.
You go to the Sea of Galilee, and it's one of these places where you're actually and literally looking at the same view that Jesus saw with his disciples.
You are a Roman official in Tiberias.
Hold on a second. I have no sound. Should have sound.
A tax collector at Capernaum or a pagan over at Hippos. They can all see this beautiful body of water.
That's not going to work.
Zuzu, you have a...
We have the sound online.
You're hearing it on your end? Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's all coming to us and not you guys.
It's just
I have the sound, Dr.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me try something different.
Yeah, they didn't have a problem.
Yep. Okay. I think.
There you go. Yep, I heard the speakers. Great.
New book out, The Galilee Table, Flavors, Sights, and Stories from the Land Where Jesus Walked.
That looks amazing, Zuzu.
This is the famous boat, huh?
This is the fascinating boat. In this little country, in this little area where Christianity began, where the Jewish people began, this is a letter from this period.
The Sea of Galilee, HaKinneret.
I think it said something was
As we
not
know,
connected.
through the writings of the New Testament, Yeshua chose the Galilee and the Sea of Galilee to be the center of his ministry.
Not connected. See, it says not connected.
Oh, that's Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
And it should matter, yeah.
During the Second Temple period, there were two major areas that Jews were settled.
Well,
Jerusalem, Judea, and the Galilee, the Sea of Galilee. The Jews around the Sea of Galilee were more willing to listen to a new thing. And Yeshua felt that was the right place.
Let me try closing that. And let me.
That's just Jerusalem. One half on one side, then the flip it over to the other half. 48 minutes. You know, I got these two questions about this.
That I don't think that would stop it, but
Anytime. And that's how they brought water.
They do check it later, see if there's copyrighted material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been so fun to have that.
To next week. Yeah.
Okay, now that works there. Now let's see if I can get it to go through here.
I still will tag.
I'm gonna do that eventually.
We're gonna go down there.
And it's one of these places where you're actually and literally looking at the same view that Jesus saw with his disciples.
Whether you are a Roman official in Tiberias, a tax collector at Capernaum, or a pagan over at Hippos, they can all see this beautiful body of water.
Zuzu, you have a new book out, The Galilee Table, Flavors, Sights, and Stories from the Land Where Jesus Walked. That looks amazing, Zuzu. This is the famous boat, huh?
This is the famous and fascinating boat. In this little country, in this little area where Christianity began, where the Jewish people began, this is a letter from this period.
The Sea of Galilee, HaKinneret. As we know, through the writings of the New Testament, Yeshua chose the Galilee and the Sea of Galilee to be the center of his ministry. During the Second Temple period, there were two major areas that Jews were settled: Jerusalem, Judea, and the Galilee, the Sea of Galilee. The Jews around the Sea of Galilee were more willing to listen to a new thing, and Yeshua felt that that was the right place to bring the new message of salvation, the new story of redemption. Yeshua chose his disciples from around the Sea of Galilee. We know he called the fishermen, Peter, come and follow me. Yeshua did mighty things in the Sea of Galilee. The feeding of the 5,000, the walking on the water. Yeshua crossed to the other side of the sea and he healed a possessed man. When we think about the miracle around the Sea of Galilee, a miracle that started 2,000 years, the miracle is ongoing till today. Let us dive into unique stories around the Sea of Galilee.
The Sea of Galilee is both a unique and important body of water. It is the largest source of fresh water in the state of Israel, but also one of the lowest freshwater bodies in the entire world. What's incredible about this sea is that it has many layers to its story. It's spiritually significant. It's the place where much of the ministry of Jesus takes place, both around and even inside the lake itself. But it's also significant to the state of Israel as a modern country. The early settler communities, the kibbutzim on the shores of the Galilee, used this water to feed their crops, to really establish the foothold of the young state on the shores of this very sea. And even today, with all the technology we have, this body of water is incredibly important, both to the state of Israel and to the neighboring countries. So today we're diving deep into the story of the Sea of Galilee, this both spiritually significant and physically significant body of water.
What began here? Began here the Christianity, began here the Jewish survival movement.
You make a very good point. The Galilee is the real startup hub for this country.
Of course.
I think it's an incredible experience where someone gets today to get in a boat of similar size, similar dimension, similar feel to the same boat that Jesus, the disciples, and everyone who lived in that period would have used to trade, to fish, to travel.
The story is not over. I think about everything that's going on around it, and to me, that's a miracle.
I'm on my way to sail the Sea of Galilee with Chris Morales from Galilee Tours.
Chris, good to see you.
Andy, welcome aboard, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Their wooden boats, reminiscent of those from the times of Jesus, are perfect for experiencing the marvels of the mystical lake.
We are right in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, really more on the northern portion of it. And it's a beautiful day, beautiful time of the year to be out on the water.
If you look at the Sea of Galilee from above, it is shaped like a harp. In Hebrew, the lake is called Kinneret, which means harp.
From 30,000 feet down to water level, where are we and what is this place?
We're right here in the heart of the Middle East. And one thing that's interesting about the geography of this location, the Sea of Galilee is a part of what is the longest natural geological formation on planet Earth, the Great Syrian Rift. So it extends from Turkey all the way down to Mozambique in Africa. This is the lowest freshwater lake on Earth. It's about 700 feet below sea level. And it is a small, relatively small lake. It's only about 13 miles at its longest point and about 7 or 8 miles at its widest point. And it's also relatively shallow, about 150 feet at its lowest point. And of course, when we think about the Sea of Galilee, we think about the New Testament, we think about the storms. And one of the beautiful things about the geography here is that the storms typically come from the west and move to the east. And so you have all of this elevation here. When thunderstorms come and they lose that elevation, they lose some of the support that actually allows them to have
They dissipate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they dissipate. When a thunderstorm dissipates, it dumps not only rain, but wind. Because the body of water here in the Galilee is so shallow, it's easier to whip up high waves in a shallow body of water than it is in a very deep body of water. So it fits perfectly to create these waves and these storms that are dangerous and hazardous to life of the disciples, for example, on a boat. Fits with the scriptures. It's like a glove.
It's no surprise that the Sea of Galilee draws about 1 million visitors every year.
Well, the beautiful thing is that everybody is expecting something a little bit different when they come. And the Galilee provides us with more than enough stories. But most of the people that come, they want to experience what the Galilee was like when Jesus was here in the first century. 75% of the events in the gospel took place right here between En-Gev on the other side and Tiberias right behind us.
What would be those top highlights of seen on the shores of the Galilee?
If we were to start over here in this direction, we have Magdala, which is a relatively newer discovery, 2009, obviously associated with Mary Magdala. Then if you're going to go on and pan towards the northeast, you have the Mount of Beatitudes, traditional site of the Sermon on the Mount. And then kind of continuing on, you have Capernaum, the headquarters of Jesus's ministry. Jesus preached the bread of life message at the synagogue there in John chapter 6. And then you go over to where the Jordan River comes into the north, and that's where Bethsaida, the hometown of Peter, Andrew, and Philip. So 3 of the 12 disciples were all there. And then you go over to the other side and you have Corsi, and then you have Susita or Hippos, which was one of the Decapolis cities. A lot of times the most common response that I get when people come and experience this ride on a boat in the Galilee is they say, wow, I didn't imagine that I'd be able to see all of these locations from one spot. All 55 kilometers that go around the Sea of Galilee, you can see that right here from this boat.
Another breathtaking sight, visible from the boat, is the vibrant greenery of the kibbutzim surrounding the lake. These Jewish agricultural communities, established as early as 1900, continue to thrive to this day.
The oldest kibbutz in Israel is on the very southern shore of the Sea of Galilee, Kibbutz Degania, 1910. And so that was kind of started it all. And so from then you have several kibbutzim that survived during the pre-State of Israel conditions, that survived that period between the War of Independence and the founding of the state and the Six-Day War. You know, you have Kibbutz Haon and Kibbutz En-Gev that were
shelled for decades. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they survived and they were attacked and they rebuilt. The story of Israel, the story of the people, did not end when the Gospels ended. There's still so many miracles, I believe, that are happening today around this lake.
One of the greatest modern miracles of the Sea of Galilee took place on a stormy day in 1986, when the lake gifted 2 local fishermen from a nearby kibbutz with one of the world's top 10 archaeological biblical discoveries, an entire wooden boat dating back to the time of Jesus.
The ancient boat, the Jesus boat, was discovered in 1986. That sparked this idea, this vision of having wooden boats sailing on the Sea of Galilee again.
I didn't know that was the trigger.
Yeah.
So finding the original boat was the trigger for the wooden
That was the
boats.
trigger. Before that boat was discovered, there were no wooden boats that you see so common here. So really that discovery sparked what is new life and new business and the new possibilities here.
Undoubtedly, the Sea of Galilee remains a profound source of miracles.
It's just one story of who knows how many others are out there that have that same kind of beginning, but through some discovery, through some kind of revelation, through something, they realize that there's something bigger at play here, not only here in the Galilee, but in the land as well.
Welcome back. Mati, the Sea of Galilee. Small lake. There are much bigger lakes around the world.
Yeah.
But God, in His wisdom, chose the Sea of Galilee to be the stage of the story of the New Testament. If I was God, I would probably choose Jerusalem. Why we end the story only in Jerusalem?
That's a very good question, and I've thought about it. I've actually been reading about this lately. The main roads in this land, the trade roads, a lot of the commerce goes by the shores of the Galilee. So when He's preaching the Sermon on the Mount and He's talking in the different cities or the towns along the way, people traveling through this region, including on the pilgrimages, they go through that region. And there's one more thing, where the region of the Galilee was the only independent region in the time of Jesus. So Jerusalem's under Roman control, and every other province in the land, they're all under Roman control. His goal, and most of his time, wasn't spent fighting with people in the temple. It was ministering to the people
He was
throughout the country.
proclaiming the kingdom of God.
Yeah, and he went to where people were willing to listen.
I don't know if our viewers know, TBN is building a studio and a hotel on the north side of the Sea of Galilee. We see that the Sea of Galilee is one of the center of tourism locally and internationally.
Yeah, I think that's what's incredible, again, about that part of the country, where it was a spiritual center 2,000 years ago. It was a spiritual center after the temple's destructed for hundreds of years, that Galilean area. And even today, people from Christian faith, from Jewish faith, still go back to that same place as a source of life, both spiritual and physical.
So let's continue watching.
I'm meeting Dani Zamir at Kibbutz Ginosar, nestled along the tranquil shores of the Sea of Galilee.
Shalom, Dani.
Alan, nice to meet you.
Good to
How
see
are
you.
This idyllic community, founded in 1937, epitomizes the pioneering spirit of the early Zionist movement in Israel and is also home to the famous Jesus boat.
So, Dani, we're standing here in Kibbutz Ginosar.
Yes.
What is this place? I mean, what is the story of the place we're standing in?
Kibbutz Ginosar and Kibbutz in general, it's a group of people, young people, that share everything. This was the idea when it was invented in the first of the 20th century. The kibbutzim, all the movement of the kibbutzim began here in the Kinneret. There was nothing here. It was desert and rocks with all the kind of mosquitoes. With enemies, no one wanted to live here. And this is the real place.
Kibbutz Ginosar is home to the Yigal Alon Center, whose centerpiece is the famous Jesus boat, discovered by members of the kibbutz, the Lufan brothers, in 1986.
It's so impressive in real life.
Yes, it's bigger than you think. This is the thing that's inspiring me. In the era of 1936, 37, young Jewish boys coming and establishing again the revival of the Jewish movement, and the children of these pioneers find the boat. The connection is so inspiring and so fantastic. In this area, Jesus walked, Jesus prayed, Jesus lived. This is something from his time.
It's very impressive to stand here and take in the size of it and the history of it, the feel of it. When we read about the disciples and him and people of that time sailing in a boat, suddenly we have an image that we can connect to. Most things you find that are 2,000 years old are stone or metal.
Yeah.
You very rarely find anything that is wood. And here we have not just a piece of wood, we have a whole boat.
Yeah.
How does a boat last 2,000 years in the water without disappearing completely?
So what happened, we assume, of course, that the boat was sinked into the beach, and because the sand covered it, there was a vacuum, there was not air, so it was like in a box, very, very tight. And the boat didn't have a connection with the air, with the oxygen and something like this. So this is the only explanation how it could reserve so much years.
So the boat sinks, and for 2,000 years it's covered in sand and mud. And then the water in the Sea of Galilee keeps going down and down and down and down. and suddenly it's exposed to the air again.
Yes, but I want to say two things in this occasion. First of all, exactly, the water less down, and they found the boat. But today it could not happen. Why? Because Israel, invent a new invention, and today the Sea of the Galilee has the same level of water every year.
So to find this, it took a very unique set of circumstances where the water's low, which isn't going to happen again. The boat was preserved, which hasn't happened since. And someone finds it, which also hasn't happened since.
Exactly.
Moving and restoring the Jesus boat was no less challenging or miraculous.
So it was a very unique project, and we didn't know how to do it. So we invent. And what we did is to take the boat and to put a very specific spray around the boat, take it with a crane through the water to here. And everybody was praying to God that the boat
Doesn't fall apart.
And it succeeded. And we put the boat here, and we built this room on the boat.
Yeah, it's an incredible story.
Yeah.
We're here on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. People reconnect to a story that's been waiting for someone to find it for almost 2,000 years.
I can explain it, but when you are entering here and you see the boat, something happened to you. And understanding the connection of the boat to all the story is something marvelous.
Shalom from Jerusalem and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the Sea of Galilee. Some scholar calls it the fifth gospel. Today we have the honor to have with us a friend, Dr. Seth Postel. Seth Postel is a doctor at the One for Israel College here in Israel. Seth, welcome. It's a great honor having you, my friend, here.
Great to be
It's not
here.
your first time here at the TBN studio. When we talk about the Sea of Galilee, there's no doubt that the Sea of Galilee was the stage for Yeshua,
Yeah.
Jesus, of his teaching. We hear about the story of Yeshua calming the sea in Mark chapter 4. You're a New Testament professor. What does it mean for you?
Yeah, so actually, I'm glad that you mentioned the story of the coming of the sea in Mark chapter 4. If you look at the ways in which the authors of the New Testament are constantly trying to understand and present Jesus in light of the Old Testament, they want the readers to make sense of who he is. And what's really remarkable about specifically Mark's telling of that story in Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41, is there are a number of parallels to Jonah chapter 1. So anybody that knows a little bit about the Old Testament immediately notices he's in a boat, there's a terrible storm, the boat starts filling with water, Jesus is in the boat sleeping. Obviously you see immediately, hey, that reminds me of the story of Jonah. And what's really interesting is just like in the story of Jonah chapter 1, the sailors, the disciples come and they wake Jesus up, and they even say exactly what the captain said to Jonah, don't you care that we're drowning? But suddenly Jesus gets up and he's the one that rebukes the storm. And the text then ends with a question. The disciples are saying, who then is this that even the wind and the waves obey him? And it says they fear a great fear. Now, that reminds us exactly of the sailors with Jonah who feared a great fear. But what do they do immediately? They worship the Lord. The point is that based on these parallels, any reader of the New Testament who knows the Old Testament will realize immediately that Jesus does in that story only what the God of the Old Testament can do. That is something exclusively divine. The calming of the winds, the controlling of the waves is something only God does. But the point of the story is not that Jesus is like Jonah. The point of the story is that Jesus does what God does in the story of Jonah, so that when the disciples say, who then is this that even the wind and the waves obey him, right? They may not have known the answer, but anybody familiar with the Old Testament would say, yeah, I know who it is. This is the God of the universe with them in the boat. And so one of the clearest displays of the divine identity of our Messiah was on the Sea of Galilee.
Now let's fast forward. The Sea of Galilee, 2,000 years ago, the Sea of Galilee today. What does it mean for you when you drive to the Galilee and you stand in front of the Sea of Galilee? What do you think?
You know, Israel obviously is a modern nation, and there's been a lot of changes. And so sometimes, like, it's even difficult to imagine what things must have been like at the time of Jesus. But you go to the Sea of Galilee, And it's one of these places where you're actually and literally looking at the same view that Jesus saw with his disciples. It is a place I find more than any other place in the land of Israel. It's a place where I really feel like I'm with Jesus.
Seth, we have people watching us from all over the world, people that love Israel, people that pray for Israel. Any last word for them?
You know, we're looking at some kind of unprecedented and some very difficult times. I just want people to stay focused on the fact that God cannot forsake his people. He cannot break his promises.
Amen.
And so we appreciate the prayers, and we know the end of the story. Not to get depressed, not to be focused on the darkness, but to keep our eyes on the light.
What a great honor having you with us. Thank you, Dr. Seth Postel.
Thank you.
And to you, our friends, once again, keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and come and visit the Sea of Galilee.
I'm on my way to Migdal, also known as Magdala, and once home to Mary Magdalene. I'm meeting Youssef Zuzukhana, a Christian Arab chef renowned for turning Galilean cuisine into a gourmet experience.
I was born in Kfar Rama in the northern Galilee. Galilean restaurants were known for being simple, so I decided to invent a new Galilean cuisine, a connection of old and new. I'm using produce that's been around since Jesus' time and still are here now.
What does it mean to you as a Christian Arab, living for many generations in this land, and now having a restaurant with this name, Magdalena, in Magdala?
Especially with Mary Magdalene, a servant of Jesus, having been from this place precisely. I thought that with this authentic food I am making here, using produce from Jesus' time, like the olive oil, the dates, the fish, I found a very strong bond with this world. So this restaurant can give tourists a place to really taste and feel this place.
You have a new book out, which is called The Galilee Table. I've read through it. It's super impressive.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with all these recipes?
Some is my family recipes. Some also I take from myself. I make research about all the food from the Bible, and I try to make it with a new touch in this book.
There was one bishop who had dinner with me, and he asked me if I have any book with my name on it to take home, and I didn't. Then I said I was going to write a book and call it The Galilee Table. I followed Jesus in the Galilee. Everywhere he stepped foot, I gathered the plants and created recipes from them. I divided the book into chapters representing the different periods Jesus spent in the Galilee. I only used ingredients that existed in Jesus' time. I never broke that law.
It does an amazing job of connecting between the biblical stories of the Galilee and modern day food. And I think anyone who is interested in what happens here in the land and want to take something home with them that is a story of the cuisine of this place, this is a good way to go about it.
I think absolutely.
Today, Zuzu is creating a dish inspired by cherished childhood memories, fishing with his brother by the Sea of Galilee, and cooking the fresh-caught St. Peter fish over a small fire on the banks.
I take this kind of fish.
It's a local Galilean fish.
Local Galilean.
And this is olive branches from the Galilee.
Exactly.
And you grill them on this...
And you grill with olive oil, with a little sauce and salt, and will be perfect.
That looks amazing, Zuzu.
Now I mix it with the fennel with the arak.
Arak is anise-flavored liquor.
Exactly.
I'm saying it for the viewers' sake. It's anise-flavored
Local made arak.
Local made
Yeah.
anise-flavored liquor?
Exactly.
That's a crazy
And
flavor
it's
combo. Beautiful.
Thank you.
After a delicious and satisfying meal, Zuzu and I head down for sunset on the lake that holds all the memories and miracles of this magical place.
Zuzu, it's amazing that me and you are standing here 2,000 years later after the events of the New Testament. You're hosting people that are coming here in search of that same experience, the one that is told in the New Testament about Jesus and the disciples, and they get to do the same thing at your restaurants, breaking bread, sharing a meal, eating fish from the Sea of Galilee, in the same exact place.
It's a lovely story.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here.
Okay, so that was a pretty good video. Kind of gives you a feel for the Sea of Galilee. That Jesus boat that they showed, we'll see that. We'll go to that museum, and that's really special. The first time I went to Israel, it had not been found yet. And I remember when the story of that came out, it was really an amazing thing. But they had suffered several years of very extreme drought. And so the level on the Sea of Galilee had gone down. These two guys from the kibbutz found the little bit of the boat sticking up out of the mud, and they started digging and realized what it was. But almost right away, as it was exposed there, it started to deteriorate. So they contacted the archaeologists, and they thought, what are we going to do? And what they did was they devised a method to dig it up, and very quickly, as they were exposing it to the air, shoot polyurethane foam all around it. And they encased the whole thing in this foam. And then they actually floated it after they were done doing that, and were able to bring it up to Ginosar. And then they were able to build that museum around it.
Wow.
But that's really and like he said, now because they're actually pumping water into the Sea of Galilee to keep the level up, the water level will never get down that low again. It was like a one-time thing, and it's
So
wonderful.
is it in an airtight?
No,
box?
they impregnated the wood with preservatives now,
Okay.
so that it won't deteriorate any further. Yeah. Yeah. But the Sea of Galilee is wonderful. Somebody just asked me not too long ago, if I could move to Israel and situate myself anywhere in Israel I wanted to be, where would I want to situate myself? That would be it. I'd want to be right there by the Sea of Galilee, I think. In some ways, Jerusalem would be amazing, because there's so much all around Jerusalem. But I think the Sea of Galilee is just such a beautiful place, so refreshing. And I think, like the guy in the video said, it's where Jesus and his disciples spent most of their time. And you can really kind of picture so much in the New Testament that way. So we'll get to be there. We're going to be there not too long from now. And we'll take a boat ride out on the Sea of Galilee too. So any questions on Galilee or what we just saw?
Mike looked up the cost of a fishing license.
Oh, Mike loves to fish. Yeah.
Thought about taking the telescoping pole, but
Yeah.
I don't think we're going.
Yeah. I don't know what we'll do this time, but I've several times when I've been out there, when we went out on the boat, he illustrated what the kinds of nets they used in the New Testament times, and illustrated actually casting the net out. I don't think we ever caught anything, but most of the fishing actually is done at night. The actual commercial fishing, they go out with lights on the boats, and that draws the fish up towards the surface, and then they cast their nets.
A little funny story. I'm friends with Mike Siderhouse. I don't know if anybody know him, but he's the world famous water skier that was based here, and he talks about how he water skied on the Sea of Galilee without skis, so he technically walked on water.
Oh wow! Oh yeah.
So that's funny.
Well, that is pretty amazing. Well, I have one more video I want to show you, and this covers the temples of Jerusalem, and it's so well done. I don't think there's any actual talking. I think it's all text over these 3D representations of the temples. I'm going to make sure that my sound is working before I start it. Anna, yeah, go for it.
So I was wondering, is there any other wildlife around the Sea of Galilee, like deer or ducks that you could have eaten in Jesus's time?
Yeah, there's lots of wildlife around the Sea of Galilee now. I've never seen any deer, but there's lots of birds, ducks, and other waterfowl. There are other critters and animals that live around there of various kinds.
If you mock bald men, some she bears come out.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not.
Yeah, just wondering if they had like Sea of Galilee deer.
There are deer in Israel, but I don't think I've ever seen a deer in Israel. There are some down further to the south, down by the Sea of Galilee. Of course, we talk about the ibex goats there, and there's quite a bit of wildlife. Yeah, good question. Okay, I'm going to test this, make sound with this before I share it. Well, that sounds good. Okay, let me come back here. Any other questions before I start this one on the temples? Yeah, Dominic.
In the video, a lot of times they were saying the Galilee.
Yeah.
So is it like technically supposed to like have the article like the Galilee, or is it just Galilee?
It's the Galilee. We would say the Sea of Galilee, right? We wouldn't just say Sea of Galilee. We'd say the Sea of Galilee. Oftentimes they drop the sea up part, just refer to the Galilee. Either to the sea or even to the region of Galilee. It's the Galilee, meaning the region of Galilee. Yeah. Yeah, you'll hear that often.
Pastor Gunn?
Yeah, Frank.
I'm just wondering, when does our day begin? Like, when do we load the bus? How much time we have for, if we get up and eat and stuff?
It may be a little bit different each day. I'm sure the very first day that we're there at the Dead Sea, we'll get a lazy start to that first day because we're getting in, somewhere around midnight, I think. And so that first day will be a pretty lazy day. But most days we'll get up and get going pretty early in the day. Well, yeah.
Yeah, way to jump in there.
Well, it's really the call of our tour guide, and he'll announce what time you need to get up. And so we'll get up. Breakfast is served at the hotels where we're staying. So there'll be time to get up, get breakfast, get yourself a good strong cup of coffee, and load onto the bus and get going. But I think
About 8 o'clock.
yeah, I think about 8 o'clock most mornings we got started on the bus. Did I answer your question, Frank? Your time frame's gonna be your time frame's gonna be
8 o'clock was what I was looking for. That's
yeah.
I'm looking for a time, so
Yeah, your time frame is gonna be so messed up it won't matter. It's just the jet lag. Almost 12 hours out of sync, it really, really does get you confused at times. But so you'll have to make sure you have a good alarm clock, I think, to wake you up and make sure you're going on time. Okay, thanks for asking that. Good question. Okay, let's go to this one. Okay, so it was a review of a lot of history there. But I like the way he was able to do that 3D rendering. It's very, very well done. And so did that spark any questions in your mind? Lots of questions. So a lot of that information on that video we went over when we were talking about Jerusalem here. And this is kind of a refresher of that, a way to look at it visually and think about it. But there's just a ton of history there. And you think of all the different civilizations that inhabited Jerusalem and did things on the Temple Mount. Not only the two temples, you had pagan temples there, you had Muslim mosques there, all kinds of different things. Different hills and different valleys. We'll be there. We'll be walking along them shortly. And maybe having this in your mind's eye at least will help you kind of put the pieces together when we're actually there and seeing it from the ground level. Now, any questions? Yeah, Teresa.
Was the pool of Siloam covered up and they discovered it, or did it stay all the time?
Yeah, it got covered up eventually.
Okay.
And it was only uncovered very recently. So when you come out from Hezekiah's tunnel, you come into a little pool, and they used to think that was the pool of Siloam.
Mm-hmm.
And then they discovered that's not it at all. And it's not too far away from there, but the actual pool of Siloam is huge.
2 football fields.
Yeah, yeah. And when I first started going to Israel, there was nothing there at the what is the pool of Siloam. It was just all underground. And
Isn't it 2 Olympic swimming pools, not football?
Well, yeah, whatever, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's big.
Maybe they're the same.
It's big anyway.
And so the Hezekiah's tunnel that they recently opened.
Yeah.
When they used to leave the pool and head towards the temple, was that covered, or were they out in the open?
Hezekiah's tunnel. Oh, the
new
road,
part.
the road going up to the temple, I think, was open air.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's covered now.
Yes, I
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Rich.
So when Solomon was building a temple, he had to bring a lot of the stones from other places. But that video shows a lot of other time periods when they built seemingly big or bigger structures. Did they go get the rock elsewhere, and it's still there now? Or?
Yeah, there are rock quarries actually all around Jerusalem, and you can still see them. There are places where they were cutting it. Jerusalem is built on limestone, and you dig down through the dirt a little bit, and you hit limestone. And this is what they did. They moved the dirt away, and they just started digging down, making blocks, and then they had to transport them from wherever they were. So a lot of these were uphill from Jerusalem. It was easier to bring them downhill to get there. There was one pretty good such quarry that was on the walking way from the old city up to the old Ambassador Hotel we used to stay in. We used to walk right by it. With this new Ambassador boutique, it'll be interesting to walk along there and see what we see.
Yeah.
But there are those, close by. Still, one of the days we will go through the some they call it the Rabbi Tunnel or the Western Wall Tunnel, which goes all along that western wall. Now, there's the exposed part that you see all the time in pictures where Jewish boys will go for their bar mitzvahs, Jewish girls for their bat mitzvahs, and there's praying there. You put your prayers in the wall. That's just a short section of that western wall. Continues northward, and there's a tunnel, and you go through this tunnel, and you see the enormous size of some of these foundation stones for that wall, bigger than the length of this room. And it's a marvel to know how they moved them in the first place, and even how they were able to lift them in ancient times up into that wall. There's several theories on how that was done. We'll see that when we're there. But it's quite remarkable. Yeah.
During the Byzantium period, it looked like a lot of Christian churches were placed around, and it looked like they made certain that the Temple Mount wasn't messed with. Was there a theological reason for doing that, do you think? Or was it just that they just wanted to placate Jews, or what was the reason?
I think the theological reason was a theological, didn't have anything theologically to do with the Jews at all. They wanted to have sites built that were connected to the life of Jesus.
Okay.
So
So it was like the Temple Mount was kind of forgotten.
yeah, Temple Mount was not important to the Byzantines. Yeah. So,
Dr. Gunn,
yeah, David.
how is it possible to cut stone if you're not using any metal? You know how King Solomon required that all the stones be cut in the quarries, but not ever using any metal on them? How could they do that?
That's a good question. I think with Herod's temple, pretty sure they did use metal tools, but Herod was less concerned about the obedience to the Old Testament and more concerned about the grandeur of his building. Back in Solomon's day, I don't know how they accomplished that. Just a good question. That's
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you stumped the professor. Yeah.
The women cannot go to the Wailing Wall, right?
Yeah, they can. There are two sections. There's a men's section right next to it. There's a women's section.
Oh, okay.
So they are segregated. And there was a big movement. I don't know what's happened. There was a big movement by some of the, just like we have, liberated women in America, they have liberated women in Israel too. And there was a big effort to try to get a third section of the wall that allowed both mixed company together and also allowed women to go and do some of the religious Jewish ceremonies. It's usually reserved just for men, such as reading the Torah and things like that. And that ran into a lot of opposition from the Orthodox groups, and it was a big controversy. And at one time they were going to do it, and then I think it got stopped. I don't think they have that section. I think there's just a men's section and a women's section today. Yeah, but the Western Wall is still amazing. We'll go there, and the ladies will go to the ladies section, the men will go to the men's section. And again, for the men, when we go to Jewish sites, if you have a hat, you need to wear a hat. And if you have a Jewish kippah, that's fine to wear. If you don't, they usually have these little disposable cardboard ones that you're putting on your head while you're there. So that's fine. But if you're looking for a souvenir to pick up before we go to the Western Wall, you might buy a kippah so that you can put it on your head when you do go there. Yarmulke is the Yiddish word for it. The Hebrew word for it is kippah. So, kippah singular, kippot plural. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Well, are you ready to go? We're going tomorrow morning.
Yeah, let's go tomorrow.
I'm ready. So today is Friday, so a week and 1, 2, 3 days, and 6 a.m. here. There was something else I was going to say to you. Was it? Oh, do we have any singers? Any musicians that's a singer?
Okay.
One of the places we will probably go, St. Anne's Church, is north of the temple, and it's a beautiful, beautiful Crusader church with the most amazing acoustics. And usually there's an opportunity to sing. One year we had an opera singer with us, and she sang just amazingly. We've had other singers, and usually we'll just all sing together as a congregation in there. But it's built in such a way that the sound from inside the church goes outside, hits a stone that's shaped in such a way as to bounce the sound back. And I forget how many echoes you hear, but there's a certain number of echoes. You have to sing slowly, or else it'd get you all confused. But it's a beautiful, beautiful sound. So you might think about maybe a hymn or something. That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, Tracy, let's do that.
Yeah, you could sing a duet. It'd be even better. That'd be great. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and quit then. This has been a wonderful time together. Our last meeting. Oh, and I wanted to tell, let's see. Is Laura still online? Laura?
Yes.
Okay, for Laura and for Dominic, for the class, one of the requirements is to keep a journal during the time that we're there. So a day-by-day journal of what we see and what your reflections are. And then you're going to turn that into me when we get back, and that'll be part of your grade. For everybody else on the tour, it's a good idea to keep a journal. That really cements things in your mind. You can take pictures, and that's good. But the pictures themselves, once you get back, you're going to look at them and think, well, what was this pile of rocks?
I've been worried about that.
So I would recommend that you take good notes. You all have a notebook that was given to you by Signature Tourists. That would be a good one to use. Some of you might fill that up rather quickly. You might think about bringing an extra booklet along. But do think about keeping a journal, and you must if you're taking the class for credit. Okay, I think that'll do it for tonight. God bless you, and we'll see you again on the 23rd, right here at Shasta Bible College, except for those of you who have the travel plans, and we'll see you on the other side in Jerusalem.
Thank you, Dr. Gunn.
Thank you, Dr. Gunn.
Good night. Leila Tov.
Okay, good night.
Please say thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.